I didn't think it was a big deal. That's what I need everyone to understand first. I wasn't trying to humiliate him, or reject him, or make him feel bad. I just wanted to make a good impression. I just wanted to be seen the right way. I just wanted people to perceive me a certain way when I walked into that party. And walking in with him, being seen arriving together, being identified as a couple from the moment we entered, wasn't going to give me that perception. Wasn't going to create the impression I wanted. Wasn't going to position me the way I needed to be positioned. We'd been dating for 7 months, 7 solid months, exclusive, official, meeting friends and family level of serious. But we weren't engaged. We weren't living together yet. We weren't at that locked-in permanent stage. We were still in that phase where technically things could still change, where technically I could still meet someone better, where technically keeping my options slightly open felt reasonable rather than disloyal. The party was important, really important. A friend from college was having a big celebration at this trendy venue downtown, the kind of party where everyone who mattered would be there. Old friends I hadn't seen in years, people I wanted to impress, people whose opinions mattered to me, people I wanted to see me as successful and attractive and desirable and available, or at least not obviously unavailable. The kind of event where first impressions and how you're perceived actually matter for future social dynamics. My boyfriend, his name is Marcus, wasn't exactly the image I wanted to project. Not because there's anything wrong with him as a person. He's sweet, he's kind, he's reliable, he's supportive, he's all the things you want in a long-term partner. But he's not impressive at first glance. He's not the kind of guy who turns heads when he walks into a room. He's average height, average build, works a normal job in accounting, dresses practically rather than stylishly. He's the kind of person you appreciate more over time as you get to know him, rather than someone who makes an immediate impact. And for this party, I needed immediate impact. I needed to be seen the right way from the start. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. So I made a decision. In the car on the way to the party, about 2 blocks away from the venue, I said the thing that I thought was reasonable and strategic and just smart social positioning. When we get there, can you walk in a few steps behind me? Like, not together? I just want to make my entrance separately. I want people to see me first before they see us as a couple. Just for the first impression, then we can be together inside. It's just an optics thing. The silence in the car was heavy. Marcus didn't say anything at first, just kept driving, both hands on the wheel, eyes forward. That kind of silence that means someone is processing something significant. That means they're deciding how to respond to something they didn't expect. That means they're choosing their words carefully. "You want me to walk behind you so people don't think we're together?" he finally said, voice calm, even. No anger that I could detect, just clarification, making sure he understood what I was asking. Not behind like way behind, just not right next to me. Just a little space, so when I walk in, people see me as an individual first before they see me as part of a couple. It's just for the entrance, just for the first impression, then we're fine. "So you're embarrassed to be seen with me?" "No, that's not it at all. I'm not embarrassed. I just want to make my own impression first. I want people to see me before they categorize me as someone's girlfriend. Before they file me away mentally as taken and not worth approaching or getting to know as an individual. It's strategic, it's smart, it's not about you. It's completely about me. You're asking me to walk behind you, to physically position myself as separate from you, so people don't associate you with me, so people don't see you as my girlfriend, so I don't damage your first impression. That's exactly about me. That's you saying I'm not good enough to be seen with. That's not what I'm saying. That's exactly what you're saying. You're just using different words. You want to walk in alone. You want to be perceived as single. You want people to not know you're with me. You want to hide our relationship, at least initially, so you have a better social position. And you want me to cooperate with that by literally walking behind you, like I'm your assistant or your security or anything other than your boyfriend. We pulled up to the venue. Marcus parked, turned off the car, sat there for a moment, then turned to look at me directly. "Here's what's going to happen," he said, still calm, still measured. "You're going to go in and make whatever impression you want to make. Walk in alone. Be seen as an individual. Position yourself however you want. I'm not going to walk behind you like some accessory you're ashamed of. I'm not going to pretend we're not together so you can present yourself as available. I'm not going to participate in you hiding our relationship, so you go ahead. Make your entrance. I'll be along later, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll make my own decision about whether I want to attend a party with someone who's ashamed to be seen arriving with me." "Marcus, you're overreacting." "I'm really not. You asked me to walk behind you. You asked me to hide our relationship. You asked me to cooperate with you presenting yourself as single. That's not overreacting to be hurt by that. That's having basic self-respect. So, go ahead, go to your party, make your impression, I'll figure out what I'm doing." He got out of the car, locked it, started walking toward the venue but not with me, not next to me, not a few steps behind me like I'd requested. Just his own path, his own pace, his own direction. Leaving me standing there realizing that maybe I'd made a huge mistake. That maybe what I thought was reasonable was actually really hurtful. That maybe I'd just damaged something important. I walked into the party alone as I'd wanted, made my entrance as an individual as I'd planned. People saw me, greeted me, hugged me, told me I looked great. Everything I'd wanted to happen was happening. I was being seen as me, not as someone's girlfriend. I was being perceived as an individual, not as half of a couple. I was getting the attention and the impression I'd strategized for. But it felt hollow, felt wrong, felt like I'd traded something real for something superficial, felt like I'd hurt someone I cared about for the sake of social positioning that didn't actually matter. I looked around for Marcus, didn't see him initially, figured maybe he was still outside cooling off, or maybe he'd decided not to come in at all. Maybe he'd decided that attending a party with someone who asked him to walk behind her wasn't worth his time or dignity. Maybe I'd pushed too far, and he was already in an Uber heading home. Then I saw him, across the room. But he wasn't alone. He was talking to someone, a woman I didn't recognize. Attractive, stylishly dressed, confident body language. They were laughing. Both of them. He was animated in a way I didn't often see him in social situations. She was engaged, interested, leaning in to hear him over the music. They looked comfortable together. They looked like they were enjoying each other's company. They looked like people who'd just met and were clicking immediately. And I felt it. The jealousy, the panic, the realization that maybe telling your boyfriend to walk behind you so people don't think you're together has consequences. That maybe making someone feel like you're ashamed of them makes them consider finding someone who isn't ashamed. That maybe I'd just opened a door I didn't intend to open. I watched them for several minutes, watched her touch his arm when she laughed, watched him smile in that genuine way he usually reserved for me, watched them exchange phones, presumably swapping numbers or social media information, watched them in what was clearly more than just polite party conversation, watched my boyfriend connecting with another woman while I stood across the room, having gotten exactly what I asked for, the chance to be seen as single. I started walking over, planning to insert myself, planning to reclaim him, planning to make it clear to this woman that he was taken, planning to undo what I'd created by asking him to hide our relationship. But as I got closer, I heard her say something that stopped me in my tracks. "So you're here alone? No girlfriend dragging you to parties you don't want to attend? And Marcus, looking directly at me approaching across the room, said loud enough for me to hear, "I'm here alone, completely alone, free as a bird, no relationship obligations tonight." He said it while making eye contact with me, said it deliberately, said it as a statement, said it so I would hear, said it as a response to what I'd done in the car, said it as his version of what I'd asked for. If I wanted to walk in pretending we weren't together, he'd spend the party pretending we weren't together. If I wanted to be seen as single, he'd be seen as single too. If I wanted to hide our relationship, he'd hide it as well. But on his terms, in his way, with someone else. The woman, her name was Sophia, I found out later, looked pleased. "Well, in that case, there's this great art gallery opening next weekend. Would you want to go? I could use someone with your sense of humor to make the pretentious art crowd bearable." She was asking him out, directly, and he wasn't shutting it down, wasn't saying he has a girlfriend, wasn't mentioning me at all, wasn't doing any of the things a person in a relationship should do when asked out by someone else. "That sounds great," he said. "I'd love to go. Let me get your number." And he did, got her number, saved it in his phone with the contact name visible to me from where I stood 3 feet away. Sophia, art gallery date. Then he looked at me, finally acknowledged my presence. "Oh, hey, didn't realize you were here. Great entrance, by the way. Very impactful. Very individual. Exactly what you wanted, I'm sure." The passive aggression was unlike him. The pointed comments were unlike him. The deliberate flirting with someone else while I watched was unlike him. But I'd created this. I'd set this in motion. I'd asked him to hide our relationship, and he was showing me what that actually meant. What it actually looked like when someone acts like they're single. What it actually feels like to watch your partner pretend you don't exist. "Can we talk?" I said quietly, trying not to make a scene. Trying not to let Sophia see that this was bothering me. Trying to maintain some dignity while my relationship potentially crumbled in real time at a party. "I'm kind of in the middle of a conversation," Marcus said. Still calm, still polite, but firm. "Sophia and I were just discussing modern art and the commodification of creativity. Fascinating stuff. But I'm sure you have other people to talk to, other impressions to make, other social positioning to accomplish. Don't let me keep you." It was dismissal, clear dismissal. He was choosing to continue talking to Sophia instead of talking to me. He was prioritizing a woman he'd just met over his girlfriend of 7 months. He was making me feel exactly what I'd made him feel in the car. Unwanted, unvalued, like an inconvenience to be managed rather than a partner to be claimed. Sophia looked between us, clearly sensing tension but not understanding the dynamics. "Do you two know each other?" "We're acquaintances," Marcus said before I could respond. "She's dating someone else. I'm single. We're just friendly. Nothing more than that." He said I was dating someone else. Said he was single. Said we were just friendly. Completely erased our relationship just like I'd asked him to erase it by walking behind me. Completely denied we were together just like I'd wanted to deny it by making my entrance alone. Completely pretended I didn't matter, just like I'd made him feel like he didn't matter when I asked him to hide. "I should go," I said, voice small, defeated. Realizing I'd lost this round, realizing I'd created this situation and now had to live with the consequences. Realizing that telling your boyfriend to walk behind you might result in him walking away entirely. "Okay," Marcus said. Not, "We'll talk later." Not, "I'll find you in a bit." Not, "Let's work this out." Just okay. Just acknowledgement that I was leaving. Just acceptance of my departure without any indication he cared or wanted to stop me or planned to follow. I walked away, left them talking, left him with Sophia making plans for their art gallery date. Left the party I'd been so excited about after less than 20 minutes. Got an Uber home, spent the ride wondering what I'd just done to my relationship. In Edu. He didn't come home that night. We lived separately, but he often stayed over, especially on weekends. I expected him to come over after the party, expected us to fight about what happened, expected him to be angry or hurt and want to talk it through, expected confrontation and resolution and the normal process of working through relationship problems. Instead, nothing. No texts, no calls, no knock on my door, just silence. Just him not coming over, just him doing what I'd essentially asked for, being separate from me, being not together, being positioned away from me, just not in the way I'd intended. I texted him around midnight, "Can we talk about tonight?" No response. I texted again at 1 a.m. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked you to walk behind me, that was wrong. Can we please talk?" No response. I called at 2 a.m., straight to voicemail. Either his phone was off or he was declining my calls. Either way, he was making himself unavailable, making me feel what he'd felt when I made him walk behind me. Invisible, dismissed, not worth immediate attention. Sunday morning I woke up to a text. Finally, after hours of silence, after a night of wondering if I'd destroyed everything with one thoughtless request. I stayed at a friend's place, needed space to think. "We'll talk when I'm ready. Don't contact me until then. I need time to process what happened and what it means." Space, time, processing, all the words that mean a relationship is in trouble. All the phrases that indicate someone is reconsidering everything. All the language that suggests maybe this isn't going to work out the way I hoped. I gave him space. Had no choice, really. 3 days of no contact. 3 days of him not responding to my messages or taking my calls. 3 days of me sitting with what I'd done and how I'd made him feel, and what it meant that he was this hurt by it. On day 4, he finally agreed to meet. Coffee shop. A specific one he chose, not our usual place, not somewhere with memories, but a neutral location downtown that neither of us had been to before. Public place, neutral territory, the kind of setting you choose when you're not sure you want to be alone with someone, or when you're planning to say things they won't want to hear, or when you're considering ending something and want witnesses around to keep it civil and prevent emotional escalation. He looked tired when he walked in. Looked like he hadn't been sleeping well. Looked like he'd been thinking about this constantly for 4 straight days. Looked like these days of silence and space had been as hard for him as they'd been for me, just in different ways. Sat down across from me at the small table by the window, ordered his coffee, black, no sugar, the way he always drinks it, waited for it to arrive before saying anything of substance, taking his time, not rushing this conversation, making me sit with the anxiety and uncertainty while he gathered his thoughts and prepared to say what he needed to say. "So," he finally said, after the barista delivered his coffee and walked away. Voice calm and measured like he'd rehearsed this. "Tell me why you did it. Why you asked me to walk behind you. The real reason, not the social positioning excuse you gave me in the car, not the strategic optics explanation, the actual truth about what was going through your head when you made that request. I wanted to make a good impression. I wanted people to see me a certain way when I walked in. I wanted to be perceived as—" "You wanted to be seen as single," he interrupted. Not angrily, just matter-of-factly. "You wanted to present yourself as available. You wanted to hide that you have a boyfriend because you thought being seen with me would make you less attractive or interesting or impressive to other people. You thought I would damage your image. You thought walking in with me would make you seem less desirable. You thought having a boyfriend, having me specifically as your boyfriend, would lower your social value. That's the truth. Just say it. Be honest for once instead of hiding behind euphemisms and strategic language." He wasn't wrong. That was the truth. Under all my justifications and careful word choices and strategic reasoning and social positioning language, that's what it came down to at the core. I wanted to be seen as single because I thought it would make me more desirable to people whose opinions mattered to me. I wanted to hide my relationship because I thought it would give me more social currency and options. I wanted to walk in alone because I genuinely believed Marcus would make me seem less attractive, less interesting, less impressive to the people at that party whose perceptions and judgments I valued. I wanted to be seen as available, not necessarily for romantic connections, but socially available, unencumbered, someone worth investing time in getting to know, rather than someone already spoken for who wasn't worth the effort. "You're right," I said quietly, forcing myself to be honest instead of defensive. "That's the truth. I thought being seen with you would make me less impressive. I thought people would perceive me differently, negatively, if they saw me as your girlfriend versus as a single woman. I thought I'd have more social power, more attention, more perceived value, more options if I walked in alone. And I was willing to hurt you to get that. I was willing to make you feel like you don't matter, like you're an embarrassment, like you're something to hide in order to protect my social position and image. Thank you for being honest. Finally, that's what I needed to hear from you, not the excuses, not the careful explanations, not the strategic reasoning, the actual truth about how you see me and how you see our relationship and what you're willing to sacrifice for social status and the approval of people who probably don't actually matter to your life in any meaningful long-term way. I'm sorry, I really, genuinely am. It was selfish and shallow, and I regret it deeply. I was wrong. Completely wrong. I see that now." "You were wrong. Absolutely. But the apology doesn't change what it revealed about you and about how you view me. Doesn't change that when it mattered, when there was a direct choice between protecting my feelings and dignity or protecting your image and social position. You chose your image without hesitation. Doesn't change that you see our relationship as something that damages your social standing rather than something you're proud of and want to share with people. Doesn't change that you think I make you less desirable instead of adding value to your life. Doesn't change that when given the choice between claiming me as your partner or hiding me for social benefit, you chose to hide me. That's not how I feel about you in general. That's exactly how you feel. You can say otherwise all you want, but your actions showed me the truth. You asked me to literally walk behind you like I'm your servant, or your assistant, or anything other than your equal partner. To physically position myself as lesser than you. To visibly demonstrate to everyone watching that I'm not on your level. To hide our relationship from people. To cooperate with you presenting yourself as single and available. That's not something you do to someone you value. That's not something you do to someone you're proud to be with. That's not something you do to someone you see as your equal. That's something you do to someone you're fundamentally ashamed of. Every word was still calm, still measured and controlled, but I could hear the hurt underneath, growing more evident now. Could hear how deeply and fundamentally I'd wounded him. Could hear that this had damaged something core to our relationship that might not be repairable, no matter how many times I apologized or how sincerely I meant it. "So what does this mean for us?" I asked, voice small, scared of the answer I was about to hear. Scared that he was about to end it right here in this coffee shop. Scared that I'd destroyed a good relationship, a healthy relationship, a relationship that was actually working for the sake of looking good at a party for a few hours. Scared that my vanity and insecurity had cost me something real. I don't know yet. I'm still figuring that out. Still deciding if I can be with someone who sees me as a social liability rather than an asset. Still determining if I can trust you to value me the way I deserve to be valued as a partner. Still processing what it means that you chose social positioning and strangers' opinions over my dignity and feelings. Still questioning whether this was a one-time aberration caused by anxiety about the party, or whether it reveals something fundamental about how you see me and our relationship that isn't going to change. "What about Sophia?" I asked, the jealousy and fear evident in my voice. "The woman at the party." Are you actually going to that art gallery thing with her? Are you actually going on a date with someone else while we're supposedly together? He paused, long pause, looked at me directly with an expression I couldn't quite read, then said something that made my stomach drop completely. I don't know. Maybe. She seems nice. She seems interesting. She seems genuinely interested in me as a person. She didn't ask me to walk behind her. She didn't hide me or treat me like an embarrassment. She didn't ask me to cooperate with her, presenting herself as available to other people. She actually seemed happy to be seen talking to me. So yeah, maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll explore what it's like to be with someone who actually wants to be seen with me, instead of someone who treats me like a shameful secret to be hidden when convenient. The jealousy was immediate and overwhelming. The panic was real and intense. You're going on a date with someone else while we're together, while we're in a relationship. Are we together, though? Are we really in a relationship? His voice remained calm, but the questions hit hard. You asked me to walk behind you so people wouldn't think we were together. You explicitly told me to hide our relationship. You made it abundantly clear you don't want to be seen as my girlfriend when it matters socially. So, maybe we're not together. Maybe you made that decision at the party when you asked me to walk behind you, and I'm just accepting and acting on the reality you created. Maybe you ended this relationship, and I'm just catching up to what you already decided. That's not fair. Fair. His calm broke slightly, showing the anger underneath. You want to talk about fair? You asked me to walk behind you like a servant, like someone not worthy of being next to you. You erased our relationship in front of strangers because acknowledging it would hurt your social position. You prioritized how you're perceived by people you barely know over my feelings and dignity. You made me feel completely worthless and disposable. And when I showed you what that actually looks like, what it actually means to act single, to present yourself as available, to connect with someone else who's interested, suddenly you're concerned about fairness. Suddenly you want to claim me as your boyfriend. Suddenly our relationship matters to you. Where was this concern for our relationship when you were asking me to hide it? I'm sorry. I've said I'm sorry. What else can I say? What do you want me to do to fix this? I want you to understand, really, deeply understand, why it hurt so much. I want you to recognize at a fundamental level what you did wrong and why it was so damaging. I want you to genuinely get why asking your boyfriend to walk behind you is so fundamentally disrespectful and dehumanizing that it makes him question everything about your relationship and whether you actually care about him at all. And then I want you to prove, through consistent actions over a long period of time, that you actually value me as a person and partner, that you're actually proud to be with me, that you won't prioritize social positioning over our relationship again when the next important event comes up. But I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you actually see the problem at its core, or if you just see this as me being overly sensitive and overreacting to something you think is minor. I see the problem. I understand why it hurt. I know what I did wrong. I won't do it again. I promise. Promises are easy. Words are cheap. Actions are what matter. And right now, after what you did, I need consistent proof over significant time that what happened at the party was an aberration and not a pattern. That you won't treat me like an embarrassment the next time there's a social situation where being seen with me might lower your status. That you actually value me enough to claim me publicly, even when it costs you something socially. Until I see that, until I believe that, I can't trust you. And without trust, we don't have a relationship worth being in. Daigi aha, nekchilan. La shatao, easy. He left the coffee shop after that conversation, left me sitting there with my apologies and promises that felt hollow and insufficient even to me, left me realizing that I won't do it again doesn't undo the fact that I did it in the first place, left me understanding that some things can't be fixed with just sorry, that some wounds require time and consistent action to heal, that some trust once broken takes months or years to rebuild if it can be rebuilt at all. The next 2 weeks were complete torture. Absolute torture. The worst 2 weeks of our entire relationship by far. He was distant in a way that was somehow worse than if he'd been angry or punishing. Polite when we had to communicate about logistics, but distant emotionally. Available for practical discussions, but not for emotional connection or vulnerability. Present in the most minimal technical sense, but not really there in any meaningful way. Processing, thinking deeply, deciding something fundamental about our future, and I couldn't push him, couldn't demand he forgive me faster or make up his mind more quickly, couldn't insist he just get over it and move on, had to give him the space and time he'd explicitly asked for, while living with the excruciating uncertainty of whether he'd choose to stay or go. And the absolute worst part, the part that kept me up at night with anxiety. I didn't know if he was seeing Sophia during this time, didn't know if he'd actually gone to that art gallery date he'd mentioned, didn't know if he was actively exploring options with someone else while deciding about our relationship, didn't know if he was comparing what he had with me to what he could potentially have with her, didn't feel like I had the right to ask, given that I'd created this entire situation by asking him to walk behind me. Didn't feel like I could be jealous or possessive when I'd essentially told him I didn't want to be seen as his girlfriend in public. I wanted to text him multiple times each day. Wanted to call and demand to know what he was doing and who he was with. Wanted to show up at his apartment and force a conversation, but I didn't. I gave him the space he'd requested, even though it was killing me. Even though every day of silence felt like confirmation that he was probably done with me. Even though waiting passively for someone else to decide your relationship's fate is one of the most powerless, horrible feelings in the world. On day 12 of this excruciating limbo, he finally showed up at my apartment unannounced. Just knocked on my door around 8 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. Looked serious when I opened the door. Looked like he'd made decisions. Looked like this was the conversation where he'd tell me whether we had a future or not. Looked like he'd processed everything and arrived at conclusions and was ready to share them. "Can I come in?" he asked. Polite, formal, like we were acquaintances rather than people who'd been together for 7 months. "Of course," I said, stepping aside to let him enter, heart pounding, hands shaking slightly, preparing myself for the worst, preparing to hear that he was done, that what I'd done was unforgivable, that he'd found someone better who didn't treat him like an embarrassment. He sat on the couch. I sat in the chair across from him, maintaining distance because I wasn't sure how close he wanted me. He looked at me for a long moment before speaking, gathering his thoughts, choosing his words carefully. "I went to the art gallery with Sophia," he said. No preamble, no easing into it, just direct, honest statement. "Last Saturday. Wanted you to know that. Wanted to be completely transparent about what I did while we were in this grey area, where I wasn't sure if we were still together or not." My stomach dropped completely. Felt like I'd been punched. Did anything happen? Did you? We looked at art. We talked about the pieces. She had interesting perspectives on some of them, different interpretations than I would have thought of on my own. We had coffee after at the cafe next door. We talked about life, work, interests, the usual getting to know you conversation stuff. She's smart, she's funny, she's interesting to talk to. At the end of the date, because yes, it was a date, let's be clear about that, she asked if I wanted to go to dinner this weekend, said there's a new Thai place she's been wanting to try, asked if I'd want to join her. I said I needed to figure some things out first. She asked if those things involved someone else. I said yes, honestly. She asked if that someone was the woman from the party who looked upset when she saw us talking. I said yes again. She told me I should probably figure that situation out before pursuing anything with her. She was right. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm here to figure it out. He went on an actual date with someone else, spent time with someone else, connected with someone else intellectually and emotionally, explored what it would be like to be with someone other than me, while we were technically still together, while our relationship was in limbo because of what I'd done, and he was being completely honest about it, not hiding it, not sugarcoating it, just telling me the truth directly. "So, what did you figure out?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper, scared of the answer but needing to know, needing to hear what he'd decided about us. I figured out several things during that date, and during the time I've spent thinking about all of this. I figured out that being with you, staying in this relationship, requires me to accept being treated as less than equal, requires me to be okay with you prioritizing social positioning and strangers' opinions over my feelings and dignity, requires me to accept that you see me as a liability to be managed rather than a partner to be celebrated, requires me to walk behind you, literally and figuratively, whenever it suits your image and social strategy. And I figured out that I don't want to do that. I fundamentally don't want to be with someone who's ashamed to be seen with me. I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm hidden when convenient and claimed only when it doesn't cost you anything socially. I don't want to spend my life feeling like I'm not good enough for the person I'm with. So you're breaking up with me. Not a question, a statement, an acceptance of what seemed inevitable. I'm telling you what would have to change for me to stay. I'm telling you what I absolutely need from this relationship going forward for it to be healthy and sustainable. And you need to decide if you can actually provide that consistently, or if you're fundamentally someone who cares more about perception and social status than about partnership and mutual respect. "What do you need?" I asked, desperate now. Willing to do anything, willing to change whatever needed changing, not wanting to lose him over this. "I need you to claim me, always, in every situation, in front of everyone, without hesitation. I need you to be genuinely proud to be seen with me, even when it doesn't boost your social status or image. I need you to introduce me as your boyfriend immediately in every social context. I need you to walk next to me, beside me as an equal, not ask me to walk behind you ever again in any situation. I need you to value our relationship more than you value how strangers or acquaintances perceive you. I need you to treat me like I matter, like I'm not an embarrassment or liability, like you chose me because you actually want me and value me, not because I'm convenient or comfortable until something better comes along. I can do that. I will do that. I want to do that. Then show me, not with words, with actions, consistently, over time, in situations where it costs you something socially, in moments where claiming me isn't convenient or impressive, in contexts where being seen with me might damage the image you're trying to project. That's when I'll know if you mean it or if you're just saying what I want to hear." He gave me a chance, a conditional chance, a chance that required me to prove through sustained action that I valued him more than I valued social perception, a chance to show him I'd learned, a chance to demonstrate that what happened at the party was a momentary lapse in judgment rather than a reflection of how I fundamentally see him. And for 3 months now, I've been showing him, making sure to walk next to him everywhere we go, introducing him as my boyfriend in the first sentence of every new conversation, claiming him proudly in every social context, even when it might make me seem less available or less interesting to others, posting photos of us together on social media, making our relationship visible and public and something I'm actively proud of, rather than something I hide when it's convenient. He's still cautious, still watching to see if these changes are genuine or performative, still protecting himself against being hurt that way again, still carrying the memory of me asking him to walk behind me and what that revealed about how I saw him. And I can't blame him. I wounded something fundamental. I made him feel worthless. I prioritized strangers' perceptions over his dignity. That's not something you just forget or easily forgive. I told him to walk behind me so people wouldn't think we were together. He walked away with another girl instead, and I learned that some lessons come with consequences that last longer than the moment, that some mistakes reveal truths you can't take back, that some wounds take months to heal even with consistent effort, that asking someone to hide themselves for your benefit destroys something essential that's hard to rebuild.